Hi everybody. For this activity, I created a science-based lesson plan around soils, and I also created it for freshmen, high school freshmen, and so they are in their formal operation stage. The objectives that I created are at the end of this lesson, you will be able to define the word water holding capacity. At the end of the lesson, you will be able to discuss the different particle sizes of soil. At the end of this lesson, you will be able to discover what type of soil is in your local forest. So those were my objectives that I created for this assignment. And for the assessment, I talked about how the teacher will be observing the class, seeing who's all participating and kind of grading off of that. But also at the end, there will be a final project as well as a written report. The written report will be just for each individual student, and then the presentation they will give in groups. So for one of my activities that I created, the title was Soil Discovery in Your Local Forest. And the background before the students need to do this activity, they will need to know and understand that soil has different particle sizes. They won't need to know the different particle sizes. They just need to know and understand that there are different types of soil and different types of particle sizes. They should know that soil provides nutrients to plants, holds in water, and also they need to understand the scientific inquiry because this is a scientific inquiry based activity. And so for the materials that the teacher will need to make sure that they have a local forest available to them and that the students will be able to visit the forest, hopefully during class time, to go get some soil from that local forest to test it. I also created soil cards. I don't know how well they can see, but these soil cards, I have like clay and loam and all the different types of soils, and on them they have all of them have pictures so the students can see the different pictures, and they have some facts like clay is very fine. They have flat particles that stick together, and so each of these has some facts about the different soils that there are in our local areas around Oregon. And so the teacher will have to print those out for the students. So getting to the activity itself, the step one of the activity is an introduction. So the students will be introduced to the lesson. The teacher will talk about how we're going to talk about soil now, and just have conversations with their students about what they know, what they want to know. And so I thought that they could have write on the board, so the teacher could ask the students like what they know, and they could write what they know on the board and then ask the students of what they want to know. And so then hopefully they'll learn that information throughout the lesson plan. Then it's going into step two, which is the soil particle size, and that's when the teacher will use these cards. So this is where the students will learn the different types of soil and also the different particle sizes that soil has. Each group, so this is when the teacher will split them into groups. I said about 5 to 6 students. It's kind of really up to the teacher how they want to and how many kids are in that class. And so each group will get its own soil card. They will get one of these. They will read these soil cards and they will have a discussion. This is just in the small groups. They will have the discussion and then they'll switch cards, and so each group will get one of these cards. Each group will get all of these cards eventually when they all get passed around. So the kids will be able to look at the pictures and get some more information, and each of them have like the different particle sizes on there as well. And now next is step 3, the question. The teacher will now give the students the question, and the question is, what type of soil is in the forest and is it the best at water absorption? Then each group will be able to think about that question and they'll create their own experience. Since we are in the formal operation stage, we are letting the students kind of pick their own experiment. The experiment could be anything from taking soil from the local forest and maybe creating a funnel with a cup on it and then putting the soil into the funnel and then pouring water on it and seeing how much water goes through the soil and how much water that the soil actually absorbs. It's kind of really an open-ended question for the students to try to figure out themselves, and each of the groups will be creating a different experiment. And so it's really up to the students to think of what they want to do. And so after they thought about their experiment, thought about the question, how they can best answer that question, it's time to go to the forest for step 4. Step 4 is when the teacher will take the students to the forest, and the students will then pick their soil from wherever in the in the forest. I think it's best to pick soil from different parts of the forest, just in case there are different soil types in the forest. And so that is the forest part. The students will go get their specimens. Then step 5 is the actual experiment. This is when the students will come back to the classroom and they will be able to conduct their experiment. And the experiment, like I said, could be anything. Students could bring things from home if they want, because you could split this up into multiple days, or you could or the teacher could just say, okay, the materials are whatever is in this classroom. Go ahead and try to create your experiment. So step 5 is creating their experiment, and throughout this process, the teacher will be able to walk around, observe classmates, making sure that every classmate is doing something in a group, because we all know sometimes when we're in groups, one person does more than the other. So the teacher will be able to kind of observe that and grade them off of that as well. After they created their experiment, each group created their experiment, it is the presentation slash wrap-up time. So we want the students now to create a presentation, because they were doing observations and creating their experiment. So now it's their time to put all that information into a presentation and then to present that information to the students. Also, after the presentation, the students will have an individual write-up to do, going over the question, their observations, some graphs, and their results. And then the entire class, after the presentations, will get together and they can talk freely amongst themselves and try to figure out what truly is the soil that is in the forest, and is it the best. So that was one of the activities that I created for this lesson plan for science. I hope you enjoyed it and you possibly learned something.